The viability rankings are here, folks, for the post-home metagame. This is very exciting for me personally. I'm going to be taking a look at the placements. I'm going to see if I agree or disagree. I'm going to talk a bit about the metagame so far, how it's shaking up, what I think should happen, what should not happen, and the future of this funny game that we play. This children's game. The S rank should look a bit familiar to you. No new Pokemon in sight. These are all familiar faces. Dragapult coming in at number 1 here. Proving to be as powerful and versatile as ever. Don't think this Pokemon can ever be bad. It's too fundamentally powerful. Its typing is excellent. It has such options, and it can adapt like a chameleon to any environment. A recent development has been the rise of Light Screen Reflect on Dragapult with Light Clay as a screen setter for some bulky offensive threats, which is quite a good strategy because if you think about it, you use a Grimmsnarl. Everyone knows what your Grimmsnarl is going to do. They can react accordingly, but Dragapult represents multiple different possible sets. You could be Specs, you could be Choice Band, Will-O-Wisp pivot set, you could be a million things. So you can force things out on turn 1 with Dragapult. You can threaten Shadow Ball or Draco Meteor even if you don't have it. They're going to be scared. They're going to exit. And then you can start setting your screens and turn the tables on them. Grimmsnarl, a bit more telegraphed. Dragapult can disguise its intent. And that's what is so powerful about it. And it's been excellent as a screen setter and doing the same thing it always does with many different sets. Great Tusk. Has much changed about Great Tusk? Great Tusk operates very much in the same fashion as it did pre-home. There is a lot more counterplay now to Great Tusk though. There is Zapdos is a great new addition that is immune to ground, resistant to fighting, has static chance to inflict para on contact, has a Hurricane which just nukes Great Tusk completely. There's also a Namorous, which comes in, outruns Great Tusk, threatens Moonblast, and ×4 resists fighting, immune to ground. There's quite a lot of new ways to switch in and take advantage of Great Tusk, but Great Tusk is just so fundamentally good. It remains probably the best status remover with Rapid Spin. It poses a great threat with its stabs. It checks things effectively, it can set hazards. It can even be a win condition with Bulk Up. A Pokemon this powerful, even with the addition of new answers to it, will never quite fall or anything. It's just too good. It really is the new Landorus Therian. Landorus Therian has returned, and it's not quite on this level. It's not quite there. Landorus Therian's still useful, still worth running on some teams, but Great Tusk has proven to be, generally, the most powerful bulky ground support, offensive utility guy in the format. King Gambit is here, and I'm really, as more and more time goes by, I'm starting to hate this guy. The Terra guessing game is more frustrating against King Gambit than any other Pokemon, I think. Because it can have a Terra type that perfectly counters multiple of its possible answers. You have Terra Fire can make you immune to burn, Terra Flying make you immune to ground, Terra Fairy make you resistant to fighting and generally better defensively, Terra Dark to enhance stab and do more damage than anticipated, Terra Ghost to be immune to fighting, and the Sucker Punch mind games, the ability for this guy to just completely 6-0 teams with Supreme Overlord plus Sucker Punch. I don't know if I'm the one that's bad and this guy's fine, or if this is a broken Pokemon. It's hard to know. This metagame is making me question reality every day. Something that I feel like is obviously OP remains in the metagame. Something that seems fine to me is banned tomorrow. It's all very hard to evaluate, very hard to keep track of. I don't like the guy, although I do use it myself. You kind of have to. We got to adapt to the existence of this guy. I think it's just on that borderline of probably not being ban-worthy. I don't know if they're going to do reveal Terra types or some sort of Terra restriction. I would personally really like revealed Terra types, and I think that that would make King Gambit and other things much less cheesy. I'm not playing a complete guessing game on the Terra type. Some people believe that you can suss out what the Terra type is based on team structure. To an extent, that's true. You can say, okay, they don't have a spinner, but they have Ting-Lu. Maybe it's Terra Ghost Ting-Lu to block Rapid Spin. Something like that. Or maybe they don't have many good Great Tusk switch-ins, but they have a King Gambit. Probably Terra Flying. You can make assessments like that, but it's not, even if there's some logic going on behind the Terra type read, you still can't really know. And we have Iron Valiant coming in at number 4, which is also not a surprise. I think in my Iron Valiant video, I said that no matter what happens in the metagame, I believe this guy will always be powerful and be able to adapt because of its versatile options. And we have seen that already with the rise of Swords Dance knockoff Iron Valiant to defeat Galarian Slowking, who is a great check to the previously popular mixed Iron Valiant sets with like Moonblast, Close Combat, and whatever. Galarian Slowking completely wars those sets, but Swords Dance knockoff will completely turn the tables on that set and just one-hit KO you. I enjoy Iron Valiant's presence. I think you can be very creative with this Pokemon. I've seen a lot of variety on this Pokemon so far in the new evolving metagame. Baxcalibur has absolutely climbed the ranks at the top of A+ rank. I can see why, I suppose. Dragon Dance, great offensive types, burn immunity, and the ability to Terra to get free turns. It can be a great win condition. It even has Ice Shard for Prio. Slightly annoying to face because of the burn immunity. Sometimes I'm not sure how to check this thing, and there's a bit of Terra mind games against, but I don't really hate it that much. It's okay. Enamorus is the first new Pokemon here. I guess the highest ranked new Pokemon. Enamorus is very excellent. Fairy Flying typing, fantastic. Fits perfectly into a metagame dominated by Great Tusk. It has incredible coverage. It's got superpower contrary combo. I'm a big fan of Enamorus. I think it's a great new addition to the metagame. I think what I like about it is it's not that fast compared to other offensive threats. It's quite fast, but it's just slower than like 350 speed. It's around 342 speed maximum, so it's easy to revenge kill. It's not going to be too overbearing on the metagame or too difficult to answer, either by threatening to revenge KO it or just check it somehow, but I think you can use this fella in many different ways. And it's going to just... This guy, I think, has straight up improved the metagame. This has been a great new addition that has improved the metagame. This is what I want a top-tier offensive threat to look like. I think this should be like the blueprint. This is perfect. This is what we want. Garganicle's still here. Yeah, I've seen it. It's doing the same thing it always does. It Salt Cures, it recovers, it Stealth Rocks, you know. It's Donkey Kong trapped inside of a pyramid. I've got nothing to say about Garganicle. Goldengo doing the same stuff. Quite a fall, actually. Wasn't Goldengo S rank prior? Now below Baxcalibur. That's quite a dip for Goldengo. Goldengo fans are in shambles, but not really. It's an interesting development. Goldengo not quite as ubiquitous as it once was, which I think is probably pretty good for the metagame. I think this is right where it should stand, you know. It's a bit annoying when every game centers around the Goldengo mind game of spin blocking versus clicking an attack on the Goldengo switch, like that same interaction every time. Now there's a bit more variety in that sense, and more ways to answer Goldengo too, with like the addition of Samurott Hisui and even Mokalola I've been using, and Enamorus outruns it and threatens Earth Power. Goldengo's more threatened and more checked than it was in the previous metagame, but still fundamentally insane with the typing and the ability. I think this is also good for the metagame. A little bit of a dip in Goldengo, but Galarian Slowking has been really excellent. Almost feels better than it was in Gen 8 because Chilly Reception is really good. The ability to pivot and delete enemy weather and even buff Baxcalibur if you happen to be running it is kind of nice. Snow not that useful on its own, but just the ability to eliminate weather is the biggest thing while pivoting. This thing feels like it has so many entry points. The typing doesn't look good. I feel like Poison Psychic in my head sounds terrible, but this thing always seems to have good entry points. Always seems to easily enter the field, pivot out and give you some momentum. It's a bit of an annoying Pokemon. Sometimes you get Slowking Galar versus Slowking Galar mirrors, and then you guys both just go to Slowking Galar, pivot, go there, pivot, regen all the way back up, and it's kind of no one can make progress. It's like a stalemate situation. I don't love the regen spam, pivot spam stuff. Reminds me a bit of Gen 8. There's not as much free pivoting going on in this gen, I feel. And Slowking Galar, while I just said it does have good entry points, it can get you momentum, its typing feels exploitable, and the fact that it's weak to Great Tusk balances it a lot because Great Tusk is so ubiquitous. There's many ways to break through and threaten it. It's not like some other regen users in the past that were very frustrating to actually nail down and eliminate. I feel like Slowking Galar isn't that crazy. It's not like it's gonna live forever and never die. I do feel as if I can defeat it. Zapdos I didn't expect to be this powerful, but it does make sense. There's not as many, you know, safe pivots that also handle common threats, and Zapdos fits well into the metagame. It has good stab types. There's a shortage of electric types, which gives Zapdos good utility. Even though it lost Defog, it's still bulky, it still hits hard, it has good typing, it has a great ability. Static. It can spread Para. Defeat Great Tusk, which is what you always want. Amoonguss and Dragonite have endured the test of time. And Samurott Hisui. This is so crazy to me that Zamazenta Hero is outranked by Samurott Hisui and all of these. I don't know if I feel crazy about this one. I feel like this Pokemon is crazy. It's really fast and it has Iron Defense Body Press. It's been a source of frustration for me. I find it difficult to check it reliably and defeat it. Maybe I'm bad. Maybe I don't understand. It's just weird to see, you know, this legendary Pokemon here. I know that legendaries aren't fundamentally better or worse than other Pokemon. It's weird to look at, but perhaps it's the strange reality we live in, and we just live in strange time. We live in a strange world. What can be said? But as I was saying about Samurott Hisui, excellent Pokemon. I thought that Ceaseless Edge would be really annoying to play against, but I found it actually to be fine. Somehow. And Samurott Hisui, I feel, is also a good addition to the metagame with its great defensive and offensive type profile. Well, we got to zoom in there. I love the AV set. I like the Choice Scarf sets, the offensive sets. It's got a decent amount of variety in the move pools, surprisingly. You can go like Sucker Punch, Aqua Jet, or different coverage to hit different things, which is fun. It always runs, you know, Water and Dark Stab. That's the main things, but it has actually a decent amount of variety to it in the item choices. I really like the Pokemon. I really like it. I think they did a good job on it. Whoever made it. Sneasler, I guess, has proven to be manageable. There was a big hullabaloo about this Pokemon previously, about how the Unburdened sets broken. Diaclaw is potentially ridiculous, but here it is below Samurott Hisui and all of these fellas in the VR. Now, the VR doesn't necessarily mean that it shouldn't be banned. There's sometimes something can be uncompetitive and centralizing while not being like S+ tier. That might seem counterintuitive, but you know, like Dracovish, I don't think Dracovish was like the #1 Pokemon in the metagame, but it still got banned because it made everything center around one attack, which was unhealthy, right? So maybe Sneasler is still ban worthy. We'll have to see. I haven't found it that bad though to deal with, actually. Diaclaw is annoying, but I think there's a decent amount in the game to spawn to Diaclaw. And in some cases, Diaclaw feels like a waste of a slot on the Sneasler, because then they will lack some important coverage, and something on your team will be able to wall it. The biggest problem with Sneasler is its limited coverage, but it is a very powerful Pokemon. I guess we'll have to see how the metagame develops over time. I don't know. It's hard to evaluate Sneasler right now. Heatran and Landorus Theory and the Titans of the past in the A- rank. Still highly ranked, still often seen. Magma Storm Heatran I've seen quite a bit. It's a good rock setter. I feel like Heatran defensively is not a super great fit. There aren't really like many fire types where its flash fire is that useful. Chi-Yu's not here. Heatran will always be fundamentally strong, but doesn't fit super well into the metagame, I guess. At least not as well as it has in a previous metagame. And Landorus Therian, I think, is very good. It does have some things over Great Tusk. The ability to pivot is the biggest one, and ground immunity is another one. Great Tusk can run Ice Spinner to hit it, which is I've seen a lot more of. And on the other hand, Landorus Therian has been running Grass Knot and Psychic to hit Great Tusk, which is pretty epic. That's kind of cool to see. Grass Knot does massive damage to Tusk because they have high weight. Not quite the Titan it once was, but still fundamentally has great qualities. And Ursaluna is all the way down here. Even though it was on the radar to be banned, I think it's an excellent Pokemon, but it's not quite a... Like, these Pokemon right up here are just so easy to fit on teams. You can probably chuck these 4 on any team and be alright. And these guys also have fundamentally powerful qualities that can fit on a variety of different things. Ursaluna requires a bit more support, either from screens or some run Trick Room, or... I think it could be used, honestly, on some sort of bulky offensive pivot team as just a wall breaker. Similar to something like Crawdaunt in the past, you would pivot to Crawdaunt and just threaten the world. The issue with Ursaluna is it's kind of competing with like King Gambit in that regard, who has Prio. If you think about it, normal ground isn't great stab types. They're pretty easy to respond to. And then its coverage is like Ice Punch, low BP moves like Ice Punch, Thunder Punch. It has the massive attack plus guts boost, which lets it ignore resistances a little bit and just nuke through things, which is its biggest strength. But I think that if you compare it to like King Gambit, Dark is a much more powerful stab type. And the ability to have Prio as well, and just pose a threat to anything. I think you compare it to King Gambit, it's a bit of a hard sell. It has different qualities. It's got the electric immunity, ghost immunity. The Bascule Legions, I think, are actually quite good. They're just very specific, you know? They don't fit on that many teams. Mostly they're going to be used on Rain, either as adaptability wall breakers or swift swimmers. I think they could be used on stuff other than Rain, just as wall breakers with adaptability. Or even mold breaker if you want, probably not. But in that regard, they're going to be outclassed by a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of water types. Bascule Legion female is a pretty unique profile though. It's a special attacker with Adaptability, Ghost, and Water Stab. That's actually quite good. It has like Ice Beam too. That's quite good. But, you know, it's pretty slow, hard to fit. But I think there could be some team that uses this to effect. Like, it's got those unique qualities. But yeah, B rank's about right for these. Garchomp has fallen off massively because of the addition of Enamorous. Enamorous has completely ended Garchomp's career, it feels like. It is immune to both Dragon and Ground, and it threatens it in one hit. It's kind of a disaster for Garchomp heads. I think Garchomp even fell down to UU for the first time, which is a little bit of a tragedy. That's a bit unfortunate. I guess the addition of one Pokemon can destroy an entire career. I could see Garchomp rising back up to OU though, but it's not looking good for Garchomp in this current metagame. Not looking great. And these fellas are pretty low ranked. Tornadus Therian, not really as powerful as we thought, is it? I've seen it on rain squads, but I guess without defog and knockoff, it lacks the utility, doesn't it? Hisui and Lilligant's pretty good, but yeah, it's not fantastic, is it? Fairly easily walled, and hustle accuracy doesn't help, does it? I like the Pokemon. I think you can probably build with it in OU. And B rank's not bad for this fella. It doesn't look that good. I think B rank is pretty good. And the last guy I'll talk about, I guess, is Arcanine Hisui, who I've seen a surprising amount of. It could be just because people like it. It is kind of awesome. It's like a stone lion. It's an awesome visual design, and the concept of a big head smash is alluring. There's an alluring idea to that, and this thing has owned me a little bit in the past. Decent wall breaker. It has extreme speed for a bit of prio. I think there's merit to it, but it is rock weak. Its typing is horrendous. Fire rock, probably maybe the worst type combination. And it's a bit slow, and there's just other stuff that is similarly hard hitting, but not as horrible defensively and with its such drawbacks. So I've seen it a decent amount actually, and it's been surprisingly powerful, but I also don't think it's quite OU material. And I'll leave it at that, folks. There's a lot to talk about. Thanks for watching. My next video topic, folks, will be about Alakazam in Gen 3 OU. This was suggested by Patron Biff the Banana and voted on by the viewers at home, the patrons. If you would like to vote on video topics for the future, become a patron. It's that easy. Thank you so much for the support. Stay tuned for this. It'll be just an analysis video, not one of the gameplay showcases I've been doing. Just an analysis on Alakazam in Gen 3 OU. That'll be coming soon. Thank you, everybody, and I'll catch you later.